remember during the debate when he started lecturing me on New York values like we're no good. Like we're no good. I've got this guy standing over there looking at me, talking about New York values with scorn in his face, with hatred of New York. So, folks, I think you can forget about him.
Welcome back to the world over. That was, of course, Donald Trump at a campaign rally in New York on Wednesday, attacking Ted Cruz after losing to him in Wisconsin on Tuesday night. Is the GOP headed toward a compromise candidate or a brokered convention, maybe both? Former Speaker of the House, best-selling author and producer and host of a new special, Divine Mercy, the canonization of John Paul II. Would you welcome back to the show, Newt Gingrich? Great to see you, Mr. Speaker. What do you make of that? I mean, Donald Trump had 15,000 people in that room. There were supposedly 30,000 trying to get in the door.
Well, I mean, New York really is his base. All the polls show him way ahead. The question is, can he sweep, in which case you get 95 or 90 delegates, or does he just do well, in which case you get 60 or 65 delegates? He's going to win. The interesting thing is, actually, the press is not covering this. Kasich's in second place,
right? Not
Cruz.
25%.
I mean, if I were Cruz, frankly, I would skip New York and go to work in Pennsylvania and otherwise, because the New York values thing, which was very cute when he did it,
right,
has now, there was a scene yesterday, I guess, in the Bronx, where people were just all over Cruz, and that ain't gone away. I mean,
no. And Trump keeps
flaming,
pumping the fire there. 226 delegates Trump now has as an advantage over Cruz. He just brought Paul Manafort in, who is an old practiced hand. This is his delegate point man. Isn't this really about gaining those delegates and their true loyalty? Forget who they're committed to in the first ballot.
This is a very important sign that Trump is beginning to understand that this is a hard game, and you can't just do it with rallies. Manafort is a real professional. He handled President Ford in 1976.
Oh, wow.
I mean, which was a very intensely. So he knows how to do this. He's got a big mountain to climb, and he knows it, because Trump really has to win on the first ballot.
Right.
He's not going to gain ground. And so he's got to find that 1237 sometime either by the end of California or in that 6 weeks between the end of the primaries and the time they get to Cleveland.
Making a deal.
Making a deal
with somebody. Do you agree? Pat Buchanan, when we last had him on the show, Buchanan said he doesn't see the possibility of somebody coming in from the outside or any of the. He thinks a deal's going to be made. Do you agree that?
Well, first of all, nobody reads the rules. The rules that the Romney people created in 2012 block anybody else from getting in.
From the outside.
From the outside.
You have to have 8 states, right? You have to have 8 states.
And you have to do it before the first ballot. Because what it says is there'll be multiple ballots in which you will vote for the people who have been nominated. Okay. Now, I think that as a practical matter, there are 2 people who are going to be nominated, Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. There ain't going to be a third candidate. Nobody's going to parachute in magically. And I also think, frankly, the convention is going to pick one of those 2.
They can change the rules, though, as the convention begins.
Except it's the convention delegates who change the rules, not the Rules Committee.
And it's not in Cruz or Trump's advantage.
80% plus of the delegates are going to be Cruz and Trump. So why would they change the rules to make it easier to beat them?
Right. I want to show you this. This is Ted Cruz on Tuesday in Milwaukee addressing his supporters. Watch this.
Tonight is a turning point. It is a rallying cry. It is a call from the hardworking men and women of Wisconsin to the people of America. We have a choice, a real choice.
Is this a turning point in your estimation, Newt Gingrich?
No, but I think if I were Ted Cruz, I'd have said that. Look, Cruz had a very good night. He had a better night than anybody expected. He did much better than I thought he would. And so you have to give him some credit. Sure. And I thought he had a very good speech. It was short. It was positive.
Yep.
It brought people together. There's some stuff there that Trump could learn, frankly.
Yeah.
But he now goes to New York. And then he's going to go to Pennsylvania, and he's going to go to Connecticut, and he's going to go to Rhode Island, he's going to go to New Jersey. Those are not places where a Texas evangelical conservative is going to do very well. And then the big final showdown is going to be California.
Yeah, and right now, after being down, Trump is back up. So it seems he's
But
surging
California
again.
is going to be a brawl. I mean,
Really?
Because
It's like a
California,
separate country.
California has, I think, 10 votes at large, and all those other delegates, the biggest delegation, all those other delegates are by congressional district.
Oh, boy.
So you can go in and you can pick one in Fresno, and you can pick one over here in San Diego, and it'll be a that campaign will almost be a miniature version of the national campaign.
Wow. Is this moment that we're entering now, Ted Cruz defines it as a turning point, is this the final test for Donald Trump? Coming off of a very bad week, that abortion gaffe, the tweeting of the pictures of Ted Cruz's wife, is this his moment to either recalibrate or this thing is going to crumble?
Yeah, look, because he's not going to have any margin for error, and he's got to get 1237 on the first ballot. This is the moment when we're either going to say later on, he had a wake-up call, he responded to it, he gave a series of serious speeches, he came off looking presidential, and people began to relax and say, okay, I can imagine him in the White House. Or he can't do it, in which case I think, frankly, he won't win.
But in head-to-heads, when they poll, Trump opposite Hillary Clinton, Trump loses consistently. The last 12 polls, he's been losing.
I don't even worry about that.
You don't think that has any merit?
In March of 1980, Ronald Reagan was 25 points behind Jimmy Carter. He beat him by 11. That's a swing of 36. In May of 1988, George H.W. Bush was 19 points behind Michael Dukakis. He beat him by 6. That's a swing of 25 points. So right now we're at a point, and Hillary, frankly, is decaying every week. I mean, she may not get past Sanders. She has, this New York primary for her is a bigger deal than it is. I mean, if she loses New York, I think it's just over.
I want to play this for you. This is Ted Cruz. This is Donald Trump talking about Ted Cruz. This is the statement he issued right after his loss in Wisconsin. He said, we'll put it up on the screen, Lion Ted Cruz had the governor of Wisconsin, many conservative talk radio show hosts, and the entire party apparatus behind him. He was coordinating with his own super PAC, which is illegal, who totally control him. Ted Cruz is worse than a puppet. He's a Trojan horse being used by the party bosses attempting to steal the nomination from Mr. Trump. Your thoughts on that? A wise statement?
It was stupid. You know, when you get beat, I mean, look, Trump's had a great run. So he loses one. The right thing you do when you lose one, if the base of American sportsmanship is you say, Ted Cruz had a great night, see you in New York.
Right.
That would have been 20 times better. This thing was insulting. It was exactly wrong. And Cruz, I mean, Trump has got to get over this kind of automatic anger and realize that it was a good shtick for a while. It's now over.
Does the abortion gaffe hurt him long term? No. He said that women should be...
Because he came back, look, having dealt with Chris Matthews over the years, no rational conservative should ever go on Chris Matthews' show. And Matthews mousetrapped him and got him off into a whole bunch of stuff. He has come back pretty clearly. He's about the same position Reagan had. And I think that he's prepared to say that over and over again as much as he has to.
And does the suggestion, the policy suggestion that he will get Mexico to pay for that wall by holding back those payments that are flying out of our country to Mexico, do those things help him? And the list of the Supreme Court nominees he would appoint?
Now, look, the Supreme Court nominees will really help in a positive way because it's going to say, and I know that they're working on it right now, it's going to say this is a solid conservative list. These are the kind of people who should succeed Scalia. And if you think about 3 or 4 vacancies in the next presidency, this is the kind of court you'd end up with. Conservatives will be very good. I think, remember when he talks about Mexico, this is the guy who wrote The Art of the Deal. Now, what he's setting up is we are going to build a wall, which I personally agree with, and we're going to get Mexico to pay with it, and here's one way to do it. And now that's the start of the negotiation. I don't know quite what deal he's going to cut with Mexico once he's president, but he's serving notice to Mexico that with a $58 billion trade deficit, with us sending billions of dollars down there every year, some of it from people who are here illegally, that there are ways to get the money. And I think, I also think, by the way, if Trump builds it, it'll be much cheaper than the U.S. government thinks. Because every time Trump's taken over a government project, he's done it for 20% of the cost.
Well, he's going to turn it into a hotel before long. There'll be views of both sides of the border.
Little Trump bungalows
here along the way, dotting the top of that very high wall. I want to play this for you. This is Bernie Sanders responding to Hillary Clinton's criticisms that he's not qualified to be president. Here's what he hit her with.
I don't believe that she is qualified if she is through her super PAC taking tens of millions of dollars in special interest funds. I don't think that you are qualified if you get $15 million from Wall Street through your super PAC. I don't think you are qualified if you have voted for the disastrous war in Iraq.
Clinton has lost 6 of the last 7 states to Sanders. There is an indictment pending of Hillary Clinton. Is this the beginning of the end? It would seem that she's got this thing locked up.
It could be. I mean, she's going to lose her 7th state Saturday in Wyoming, where Sanders will beat her. This is also just a reminder that I always tell people, when you get to a certain level, you have to be able to dance. It's a little bit like being a jazz musician. And Hillary can't dance. She reminds me of Kim Kardashian when Prince threw her off the stage because she couldn't dance. You know, the fact is, she picks a fight with Bernie. He comes back and hammers her. I mean, if you are a left-wing Democrat, everything Bernie just said is so much more powerful emotionally than anything Hillary's saying. That he's on a roll, and he's also now built this money machine where he has well over 1 million people who send him $27 at a time. You know, people don't think about this. 1 million people sending you $27 is $27 million. That's a big fundraiser.
I'll say. Now, 1 in 4 Sanders supporters say they will not support Hillary. Do you think that's just them speaking now out of loyalty?
Well, there's always a pattern of people saying, I won't support that other person. But I do think she loses among young people by such huge margins. I think in Wisconsin that Bernie got 82% of the people under 30. 82%.
Wow.
Now, what that says to me is that the Republican nominee, if they get the right messages and if they use the right social media, may be surprisingly competitive compared to Hillary Clinton, if Hillary can get to the nomination, which I think she certainly is the front runner, but she has really big weaknesses. And we'll see in New York. If she loses New York, I think that her campaign is on its last legs.
Wow. Let's talk about you for a moment, and we'll come back to all of this some other time. What are you working on now? Tell me the latest projects.
Close and I are very excited. As you know, we just did Divine Mercy, which was on
just aired it
on EWTN. It's a beautiful, beautiful tribute to both John Paul II and John the 23rd. We have a new edition of Rediscovering God in America coming out next month. All this is at gingrichproductions.com. We have a movie about George Washington, which will premiere at Mount Vernon. We're very, very excited by it. And of course, Callista has volume 6 of Ellis the Elephant, teaching 4 to 8, and you know this because you've had it for your own family, but teaching 4 to 8 year olds about American history. This new one will be The Presidents. It's called Hail to the Chief, and it comes out this fall.
Oh boy, you will never stop.
I know, we just plug away.
I'll say, and novels, and it's constantly coming. Newt Gingrich,
great to be with you.
Thank you as always for being here. As you heard, Newt's got projects galore coming. Divine Mercy, the canonization of John Paul II, hosted by Newt and Callista Gingrich, is available at gingrichproductions.com.